The three branches of government that we're talking since last week on Thursday, last Thursday, we talked about the branches of the government. Who remembers that? The three branches of government.
Judicial. Legislative, judicial, and executive.
Okay, that's right. Yes, they are the three branches of government that we have. We have executive, legislative, and the judicial. Who remembers what was the one branch of the government that we talked about in the last class? We talked about one of these branches in the last class. Who remembers? It was executive, judicial,
Local government, state government, and national government.
No, we talked about one of these branches in the last class. Do you remember that we talked about that they are meet in the capital? Who is the one that meets in the capital class? The president, the Congress of the judges.
President.
In the capital, the president?
No.
No. Okay, don't worry.
No.
I'm going to show you here.
Yeah,
Remember that we talked about that the Constitution is described how it divided that government. And the government is divided into the three branches that you already mentioned. We mentioned the legislative, executive, and the judicial. So we have the president is part of the government, the president, the Congress, and we talk about the judges. Now, in the last class, we talked about one of these branches that we talked about, that it was that, which one class? We talk about the legislative branch, right? We talk about where it meets the Congress, it meets in the capital. Do you remember that we talk about the senators and the House of Representatives, or don't you remember that information? Yes, we talk about.
Do you copy it?
Right now, do not copy. Just remember.
Okay.
We talk about that the House of Representatives of each state, it depends on the population that each state has. And the senators also, so they can be 2 years or 6 years terms in the administrations where they are located. So we remember, don't forget that it was one of the branches that we talked in the last class. Because today we're going to talk about the executive branch. Executive branch, right now do not copy. At the end, we're going to copy. The executive branch is in charge of enforcing the nation's laws. Remember that in the first class, we talked about the one that makes the laws. Now, we talk about the branch, one of the branches that carry out the laws. Carry out the laws is the executive. In this branch, we have the president, the vice president, and the cabinet. So, the nominated by the president must be approved by the Senate with at least 51 votes. It's a cabinet. But now, do you know who is the president of the United States in this moment? Do you know the name of the president of the United States, class?
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden, that's right. That is the president of the United States. And do you know the name of the vice president? Oh.
Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris, that's right. She was here in Honduras. She was here in Honduras with the when on January 27, that it was the celebration that we have a new president here in our country. So she was here, the vice president of the United States. So now, let's see, Khaled, help me to read this slide, please. The information about the executive branch.
Okay. The executive branch is a term of enforcing of our national laws. The president is the head of the executive branch. United States side vote to elect the president. The president serves 4 years term. A president can be re-elected only once.
Once. Thank you. So what it says, how many years it must be the president in the position, class? How many years?
4 years.
4 years, just 4 years, but it says a president can be reelected only once. So it means that it can be 8 years, 4 years that it's the long term of that to be as in charge of being president, but it can be 4 years more. So it means it can be 8 years as president, no more than 8 years, 4 to 8, no more. Now, do you know how these people, yes, do you know how these people choose the president of the country? How is the way that they choose the John Biden? How is the way that they choose the new president? Or what is the way that we choose the new president that is Xiomara Castro? Do you know how is the way that we choose the president class? Voting, by voting, excellent. We have some elections, the people go, the citizens go, and they decide, they choose among 3, 4, or more options, who is the one that they want to have as a president. There are some elections. We have some elections that say happen in the United States that they vote to know, to choose the best option that they have because they wanted to have as a president. So they have some elections. It's a celebration to have this by voting. Excellent, Rosa. So that is the way that they choose. Remember, executive branch is carry out the laws and it's charge of the president, the vice president, and the cabinet that it's going to be the people that accompany or the people that is going to be helping the president and the vice president. We have here the place where the president lives and where it works. It's the White House. Look at this. This is the picture of the White House where the president of the United States lives with all the family, with her wife, it might be some part of the family of the president living here in the White House. That is the place. And also it needs to work here. So this house that you see, it's a big house. So it's divided into the way that the place where it's going to live, but also it has some places where he is going to be like an office where he is going to be attending different things that it's important for the country. So that's why it says lives and works in the White House. That is the place where he lives and works the president. This is just the one part of this picture, just one side of the White House. Now, also the president is not just living in the White House and I'm the president of the country. No, the president has some responsibilities. He has some duties. So we're going to talk about some of these duties that he or she must have. In this case, the United States, it's besides enforcing the nation laws, it's in charge of nation's armed force. The president of the United States is in charge of the armed force. Like the United States Army, here we have the description, a picture. The Department of the Navy, the United States of America. And we have another picture, Department of the Air Force. So that president is in charge of all of this. Besides enforcing the rules, the laws of the country, it's also in the armed force, It's in charge. We have another picture that is the United States Coast, the Coast Guard, and the United States Marine Corps. All of this, the president is in charge of all of this. Obviously, he is going to have different people that is going to be in charge of helping him in each of these departments, but he's the one that is in charge in general for all this armed force, by all the cabinet and all the people that is going to help him with these duties, with these responsibilities. Now, we have more information about the president. Now, this time it's going to help me to read. Let's see, Ana Flores, help me to read this slide, Ana.
Okay. The president also submits letters for the Congress to pass. The executive branch also includes the vice president. The vice president presides over all heads the Senate.
Thank you so much. So it says the president also suggests laws for the Congress. Remember, in the Congress is what they make the laws. The laws all the people, and it's going to behave and also with the other countries. But the president can also suggest, well, it can be a law that we can approve. So the Congress is going to analyze the law that the president is suggesting to see if it's going to work or not. And it says also increase the vice president. As I was telling, the vice president is part of the executive branch. It says the vice president, so this is going to preside over or heads the Senate. So the vice president is going to be in charge of the Senate. If you remember in the last class, we talked about the Senate, that it's going to be in like 2 years, like almost 6 years, and the 2 years in charge of the administration. So the vice president is going to be in charge of the Senate. It can be working side by side. Khaled, your microphone, please. Okay. Now, we have some here, a picture information about some responsibility. This is so important, executive branch responsibilities. So let's see. Andrea Nunez, help me to read this slide, Andrea. It's not Andrea Nunez. Okay. Kiara Palencia, help me to read this slide about the executive branch responsibilities.
Execute laws, make laws, grant pardons to those who have broken federal laws. President appoints federal judge, ambassadors, and the head of executive department. President is commander-in-chief of the National Armed Force. Upon his cabinet, make treaties, appoint the Supreme.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Kiara. So we have these responsibilities, the responsibility of the executive. Take a look at this. Responsibilities. Execute laws. Veto laws. The president's in charge also to grant pardons to those who have broken federal laws. President appoints federal judges, ambassadors, and the heads of executive departments. It's a commander-in-chief of the nation's armed force. As we see in the previous picture, on the previous slide, different armed force, appoint its cabinet, make treaties. It's going to make treaties with other countries. That's why when there is a celebration of a new governor, a new president in another country, they go and visit the new president because maybe they can make a treaty with that country. They're going to talk about business things. Appoint the Supreme Court also. These are some of the responsibilities of the executive branch, that it's on charge of the president, in this case, the president of the United States, and with the help of the vice president and also all the cabinet that he is going to choose. Now, in the notebook, let's copy this in the notebook class. We're going to write 5 questions with 5 answers about that branch that we talked about today. So question number 1, what is the executive branch in charge of? Who knows? Who remembers this information? What is the function of the executive branch? What is that he must be in charge of? Is going to make laws, execute laws, or what?
Number 2.
Oh, did you remember the answer number 1?
The option number 2.
Just the number 2. Okay, I'm going to help you with number 1. Number 1, remember, it's in charge of enforcing the nation's laws. That is the one of the responsibilities of the executive branch, but it's basically in charge of that, enforcing the nation's laws. Number 2, who is the head of the executive branch?
The president.
It's the president. That's right. Is the head of the executive branch.
I think how elect the president of the United States in four term. 4
Mhm.
years. 4 years.
Okay, for 4 years. Who elect the president of the United States? And
Joe
for how
Biden.
long?
Joe Biden.
Okay, we know that it's Joe Biden, but who elect Joe Biden? Who elect the president?
Kamala
gente.
The people, the citizens. Yeah, Kamala Harris doesn't choose as a president of the United States Joe Biden.
Both.
Miss,
Both.
what is the topic?
The
Both.
topic is the same, the three branches of government.
We have to upload this to Schoology.
No, you don't have to upload it, you just have to code.
Both.
There is an election, right? Yes, remember?
Both.
They
Los
vote.
votos.
The president, yes, is elected by the citizens, as Lucia says. It's elected by citizens, and as Colette says, for 4 years. Remember that just 4 years, and maybe they can be more than 4 years. They can be 8 years, but it has to have to be if re-elections, they can be re-elected. So it means that they are going to be chosen one more time by the people, by the citizens, and by the elections, by voting. Number 4, where does the president live?
In the Casa Presidencial.
Blanca.
That's right. That is the place where the president lives. The White House. In the White House is where the president lives and works. So every single president that is the president of the United States.
So the president, they live, they sleep, and they eat, and they shower in there.
Yes, everything in the White House. Those 4 years that the president is going to be, for example, in this case, Joe Biden is going to be 4 years living, doing all these things that you mentioned, Sian, all the routine in the White House. Yes, with its family, 4 years. Once it's finished, it's time for him to give the White House to the new president. So before Joe Biden, it was Donald Trump, right? So Donald Trump was living 4 years in the White House. Now he finished. So it's the turn of Joe Biden.
No, Miss. Donald Trump no live 4 years in the White House.
No?
Live como 10, 8, 9 años.
Okay, but he wasn't living there because he was the president. Now he is no more president, so he's not going to be living in the White House. Just the new president with his family and the people that he's going to have with him. Now, number 5, that is number 5. Let's see if you remember some of the responsibilities of the executive branch. What things is in charge of the executive branch to do, Cross?
No.
Who remembers the responsibilities of the executive branch?
The name of the 3 duties. I don't know that name. Oh, I don't remember.
You don't remember? Who remembers? Who have any idea one of the executive responsibilities?
Lo judicial. judicial.
Nobody?
No,
No.
only I remember that judicial.
Judicial. No, you're talking about the three branches of the government, judicial, executive, and the legislative. We're not talking about these branches. We're talking about responsibilities of duties of the executive branch, just the branch that we see today. Do you remember that I mentioned that it's in charge of execute laws? It's in charge of veto laws. Do you remember I tell you that the president is the commander of the nation's armed force? It makes treaties, so we can write make treaties. What else? Number 2, let's write execute laws. And what was the other that I tell you that the president is the commander of the armed force.
I finished, Miss.
Finished?
I finished.
Okay.
We're going to copy more. Please?
We're not going to copy more. So once you finish, just show me your notebook. We're going to stop here. Just remember that today is the second branch of the government. So next class, we're going to see the third branch of government. Social studies, you don't have any homework. So if you finish, show me your notebook and bye-bye. You're dismissed, Danny. Bye-bye.